Developed by Ryuga Gotoku Studio and published by Sega, originally for the Sony PlayStation 3 in 2015, was that of Yakuza 0. Taking place in 1988 Japan, the story focuses on Kiryu Kazuma, a young officer in the Tojo clan of the local Yakuza in the Japanese prefecture of Kamurocho, and through circumstances depicted in the game, has to clear himself from false accusations of murder while trying to find his own place in the criminal scene of Japan in the late 1980s. Depicted in the game was the character of Kuze Daisaku, and he was one of the 3 lieutenants within the Dojima branch of the Tojo clan. Kiryu reported directly to him on per events of the game, acted underneath Kuze while originally in the Dojima family. From in-game dialogue, Kuze was one of the old-time Yakuza. Even by that time in the late 1980s, Kuze's ideologies on methods of behavior or codes of conduct in relation to the Yakuza ways were viewed as outdated, even among his fellow lieutenants from the Dojima family of the time, being Awano in Shibusawa. Kuze was one of the most influential Yakuza active right after the end of the Second World War in Kamurocho, and had a reasonable reputation in the Japanese criminal underworld for possibly decades. Due to Kuze's own beliefs on conduct, he was very blunt in conversations with others regardless of their status, be it underneath him, at his own tier, or even superior to him. None of that mattered to Kuze explicitly, only actions performed by people, not words said by them, were what he considered to be important. The exact origins or backstory for Kuze were never fully mentioned aside from the references of the post-Second World War situation for the Yakuza shortly thereafter in Kamurocho. From the few details that were known, Kuze was originally a skilled young boxer whose career ended abruptly due to unmentioned circumstances, and as a result, he later lost his way in life. Eventually, having no real purpose, he drifted into a criminal life and ultimately ended up as a Yakuza. The boxing he was trained with as a method of fighting was later used effectively in his Yakuza ways. Naturally, his ways of dealing with things in relation to Kiryu, the both of them clashed a number of times. Throughout the Like a Dragon games, few individuals were technically strong enough to survive multiple fights against Kiryu. Kuze was so influential and successful as a Yakuza, he even had his own subsidiary within the Dojima family. This group was known as the Keno clan. This group comprised of the most hardened and arguably violent Yakuza within the Dojima family of the time, and even Sohei Dojima knew to give them only the most extreme assignments. These assignments were brash, disturbing, as well as dangerous, even by Yakuza standards of the time. But due to events in Yakuza 0, Kiryu essentially destroyed the clan by himself, and it was later reintegrated back into the Dojima family as members were assigned to different factions within the Tojo clan. Due to Kiryu finding out Kuze was behind the murder plot, Kuze was later forced to give his pinky finger to repent for his said actions. It was later mentioned through in-game dialogue that Kiryu respected Kuze even more so after witnessing the act, and confirmed for all who had witnessed it that Kuze was indeed a true Yakuza from a previous era. Awano later commented that if he were in Kuze's situation, he clearly wouldn't have done it, and Shibusawa would have made a clear excuse not to do it. Kuze mentioned to Kiryu that he knew neither of them would have had the courage or strength, perhaps even enough stupidity, to do the finger cut, and Kiryu actually sympathized with Kuze as a result. Kuze finally confessed to Kiryu that he knew his time as an effective Yakuza was done, and due to him being defeated multiple times, he was actually demoted to simply being brute muscle for the family in their actions against Kiryu, as well as those allied with him. And Kuze believed that he could have probably made a comeback on get revenge against those in the family for doubting him, on relegating him to such useless positions within the family. During their last encounter when Kiryu beat Kuze for the final time, Kuze at last knew that he was done for, and that there was nothing else for him in life. Kuze remarked that Kiryu had what it took to become a true Yakuza. Kiryu mentioned that perhaps Kuze could do something else with his life, but he sharply rebuked him, saying that once you had become a Yakuza, there was nothing else you can do in life. To which Kiryu agreed with. When Yakuza 0 was released, it served as the prequel to the entire original Like a Dragon series. Due to the circumstances for players when experiencing the game, consensus halted that the first time you fought against Kuze, it could have been an extremely difficult fight if you didn't prepare correctly for the match, or if your skills weren't developed correctly or even enough. Discussions halted that Kiryu's constant battles against Kuze helped him to be ready for his future encounters with other gangsters on his own experiences as a Yakuza. When Kuze cut off his little finger out of obedience for the family, the act was known as Yubitsume and was intentionally done so the user couldn't properly hold a sword or dagger correctly or even at all. However, Kuze was seen riding a motorcycle and wielding a steel pipe as an improvised weapon against Kiryu in one of their encounters. This feat alone wouldn't have been possible for a normal man, but showed just how skilled Kuze was as a fighter. The tattoo upon Kuze's back was Yama, who is the judge and ruler of hell. Further details actually had the Yama's hand partially hidden with the little finger covered, giving a clear reference to Kuze's finger being cut as a result of circumstances in the game. The other tattoos on Kuze were Gozu and Meizu, which were an ox head and a horse face. This was interpreted as Kuze often judging Kiryu, as well as underestimating Kiryu's potential. After Kuze's final defeat, he's left behind when Kiryu leaves and is later taken into police custody. In the official, original Like a Dragon timeline, this was the first and last time that he was referred to or depicted in the Like a Dragon video games. Sometimes a character can be forgotten because they were important for the development of another character, but according to popular opinions, they were important in their own sense.